Peace. This is Deric Muhammad, activist, author, etc. Let me first say thank you to everyone who supported those first two videos. We're so grateful for your support, and we look forward to continuing to bring you great conscious content. Now let's get into it. Today's video is going to be very interesting. I want you to pay real close attention to what we have to say, because we're talking about the difference between a black business and a Negro business. And yes, there is a difference. The other day I watched a video of an interview where Brother Phil interviewed Dr. Boyce Watkins. Shout out to Dr. Watkins. And they were talking about economics and why black people don't benefit from the $1 trillion spending power that we have. Well, understand that economics is the lifeblood of a community. And anytime you have a community where the dollar only circulates only 6 hours once it enters into that community, you are literally looking at a community that needs like an economic triage, if you will. We're in trouble. That's a community that's dying because we're not growing businesses. And if we're not growing businesses, then we're not creating jobs. And if we're not creating jobs, we're literally creating criminals. I'll just leave it at that. So business is very important. And if we do not do as we say by putting black dollars into black businesses, we will not survive. Now, black business versus Negro business. I'm going to start by telling you a quick story. I was out on a Saturday morning. This was about 5 years ago, and I happened to be in an entourage with one of the local congresspersons. And we were in Southeast Houston, and I had to use the restroom. So I went to a local black business, went to the restroom, used the restroom, and on my way out, I realized that the door handle was stuck. So I figured, man, if I play with it long enough, I can get myself out of here. Well, I was literally in the bathroom for 15 minutes, literally trying to free myself from the toilet. And I started sweating. See, you're looking at a person who, I don't even like to be in traffic. So you put me in a little 4x4 space with just me in the toilet, that's not going to bode well with me. So I'm literally in that 15 minutes. The people in the entourage looking for me like, where's Deric? So I had to call his chief of staff to tell her, hey, believe it or not, I'm stuck in the toilet over here at the restaurant. So she went and she got the employee, and the employee started coming down the hallway. I could hear his footsteps. So I'm like, whew, I'm out of here. Next thing you know, I see a knife flying underneath the door. I'm like, what is this? So the employee yells to me from the other side of the door, you gonna have to jimmy the lock. I'm like, what? So now, I didn't want everybody in my entourage to know that I even know how to jimmy a lock. Because by that time, people from my entourage were in the hallway trying to figure out, man, what's going on with Deric? So I had to take the knife, jimmy the lock. It took me about 3 to 5 minutes as he coached me on how to jimmy the lock, and boom, I freed myself. Gave the man the knife back and just hoped to God that he wasn't about to go and cut a piece of cake with that knife. So it was an interesting experience. So I'm in a black restaurant, but I'm having a Negro experience because all they had to do was put a sign that said restroom out of order or something like that. Now, the difference between a black business and a Negro business. Black businesses open on time. Negro businesses open when they want to. Black businesses sell the products that they advertise. A Negro business will have a sign that says, come and get shoes here, and when you go in, they might be selling socks because the shoe order is still on the way. Black businesses give great customer service. They treat their customers like kings and queens. Doesn't matter if they're spending $5 or $5,000, you treat your customers like kings and queens. They'll come back. A Negro business will treat their customers like the customer owes them something and then complain about why they don't receive community support. You get the picture. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I want us to change our language. Sometimes we'll go to a black business and we'll have a bad experience. And I've actually heard black people say, see, this is why I don't support black businesses. But when's the last time you heard a white person go into a white-owned business, have a bad experience, and then come out and say, this is why I don't support white businesses? When was the last time you heard an Asian person go into a Asian-owned businesses and then come out and say, this is why I don't support Asian-owned businesses? No, only we use that kind of propaganda-like terminology and that kind of language when it comes to one another. So we got to get out of the mentality that the white man's ice is colder. We got to get out of the mentality that says that the white man's ice cream tastes better. And it's that mentality that leads us to make statements like, this is why I don't support black businesses. So now, if you go to a business that's owned by a black person and the customer service is habitually horrible, they never have the products that they advertise, they open and close only when they want to, among other horrible things that are just not business-like, that is not a black business. That is what I call a Negro business, and we need to start branding it as such. Now, I'm not saying that you should boycott any business that's black owned. Even if it's a Negro business, we have to work with the ownership and the management to the point to where, hey, listen, you're going to get my plate of rice and beans right. You're going to get it right. I'm going to keep coming back here until we turn this Negro business into a black business, until it becomes a representation that our community can be proud of. So we got to be patient and we got to work with one another. However, I do want us to change our language. There's a difference between a black business and there's a difference between that and a Negro business. Now, what is black? Some people think black is a color. Black is not a color. Black is the essence from which all color comes. So black and Negro are not the same thing. What's a Negro? A Negro is a black man or woman who was made in America. I don't want to go too far into the definition of it, but no, there's a difference between a black police chief and a Negro police chief, a black mayor and a Negro mayor. There's a difference between a black athlete and a Negro athlete. Black denotes strength. A Negro is something that we got to work with. And there is a difference between a black business and a Negro business. Now, I'm going to end this video by saying this. Some of us criticize black business, but we never go there at all. So you don't have the right to criticize what you do not patronize. Now, I'm being a little critical, but I have a right to be critical. You know why? Because every single day, I patronize businesses in my community. Brothers and sisters, that's what we got to do if we are to survive in this age and if we are to become economically, socially, and even spiritually strong. We have to support one another. We got to support our own. So ownership is very important. When they brought us here from Africa to America, it was because they wanted us to work for them. We were their merchandise. All right. So we have two choices in this country. Either we own or we will be owned. We've already been owned for 400 plus years. Now it's time for us to own our own and support what it is that we own. Thank you so much for listening to this video. Peace.